What's up? Jonathan Paul Duncan here with the feeling experiment update number 5. This is month 5. Right now I am in Caesarea, Israel. And this part of my trip I had no idea I was going to be on, nor did I even conceive of that I was going to be here or even plan it. I grew up Christian, but coming to Israel was just something I never really had an interest in. Yeah, maybe something my mom wanted to do, but nothing really interested me about it growing up. So, yeah, now I'm here in Caesarea, Israel, and I've been to Tel Aviv and Haifa. Tomorrow I go to Jerusalem and the Dead Sea, so this will be pretty cool. And yeah, like I said, I've never been here before. Went to the Mediterranean Sea, like 15 minutes away walk from the ocean or from the sea, which is pretty dope. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, what I've been doing. Reflecting on the last 5 months, there's been a whole host of emotions showing up for me recently. I feel in part I'm real reluctant to share like this specific moment, and part of me was thinking like, oh well, no one will see it anyhow. No one's really watched your videos. As I like look back at the last 5 months, I mean, that's not exactly true either. I mean, a couple of people have watched them, and for me, yeah, I had this whole vision and this whole idea that I'd be like documenting this experience and this experiment, and people would be all engaged and excited, and my coaching would be going like through the roof, and I'd just be in this very high vibration, like very like exquisite place that I could only have dreamt of. And the reality of it is that's not the case. I've been, like I said, really getting hit hard with emotion recently. Some of those emotions being fear, insecurity, like my worthiness, my self-security, and it's been fucking hard. A month ago I was in Berlin, went through tantric energetics, breathing into life, a workshop on bioenergetics, active meditation, and had an extremely intense experience. However, there was such a deep processing happening. My digestion was shot for, not shot, but I was just digesting something for a week or so afterwards. And then after that I went and did my snowboard Landis course, which is a snowboard certification through Snow Sports Academy here in Austria. However, I failed, or I did not pass my giant slalom portion of that exam, which is like 90% I passed. I didn't pass this one part, and I need to retake it. And so for me, that was a huge bummer, because that brought up 5 years roughly of failing the CPA exam. And I had been studying to be a CPA for 5 years as I was doing tax and accounting, and I failed the CPA exam 14 out of 15 times. And so all of this emotion came up about failing, and what does it mean to fail, and how do I feel failing. And a beautiful takeaway there is and was that I don't need to look outside of me for my validation or my worth. Like, yeah, I did not pass my Landis, and yeah, I failed the CPA exam, or I failed my Landis snowboard instructor course. Yet that doesn't make me less than. And at the same time, if I had passed my Landis course, it doesn't make me more than. So that's been a huge cycle and a huge process for me recently, is that these external things don't make me more or less than myself or anybody else. Like even me right now being in Israel, I could come from a place of like, oh, like I'm in Israel, I'm doing so many cool things with my life, as though I'm more than you or more than myself. And this is just bullshit. Like, it's not fucking true. It's just a load of rubbish. And so for me, the reinforcement that I seek for myself and the reinforcement or the validation that I'm generating is coming from within me. And so that was part of this. I was... Another thing that's been coming up is neediness. Financially, I'm not in my ideal place, right? I have a couple $1,000 left and a couple $1,000 left in my checking and savings account, and I have a couple $1,000, less than a couple $1,000 left on my credit card. And so for me, when it comes to resources, is this feeling of resources being constrained, and this idea and this desire to have this experiment last for a full year kind of coming to an end because of resources running out and them not being there anymore. So there's been a heap of fucking money fear and money worry and money stress that I've been processing and I'm going through. And thank God for my buddy Jator Pierre from WeHLC and Explore with Jator. Like, he's been here directly, indirectly supporting me through some of the conversations that we've been having and sharing on social media. And so I'm extremely grateful for Jator and the conversations we've had, and they're extremely valuable conversations, not just for me. So I've been going through this. A couple of stories there is a potential client reached out to me about doing some coaching, and she wanted to do 3 sessions at $100 a session. And what I did was, instead of like grabbing at this money and this coaching out of a place of need, was I challenged myself in that moment through challenging her, and I shared with her, I invited her to come up with the pro and con list of why she wants to do the work together. What does she want from coaching, and really go into it. And about a week and a half later, she got back to me and said, like it was this last week, that right now is not the right time for her to do coaching. And there was a part of me that was bummed because, the resources, the cash would have been nice right now. At the same time, there is a bigger lesson for me than some reward. And so that happened. What else was there though? And 2, I felt this neediness from me. And so for me to have the opportunity to go into the neediness was more important than the monetary or momentary monetary reward, or whatever you want to call it. A cool experience that happened recently was I went to a barbecue. By the end of this barbecue, I was sharing breath work and meditation with a group of 5 people, and also doing some holistic massage with a woman there who had asked me to do this for her. And as a byproduct of that, one of the women there reached out to me and asked if I could do a massage for her. And I was so stoked. I was just like, fuck yeah, cool, let's set up a time, let's go into it. And then an hour before we were going to do the massage together, she said she couldn't make it today. And then I inquired on why, and she said she had plans. And I asked to reschedule, with no response. So I was extremely bummed by this, because I really was looking forward to working with her, because massage and touch is something that I really enjoy, and something that, I love to do, especially with adding the holistic element into it and knowing that the touch that I provide for someone is therapeutic at a physical level, at an emotional level, and energetically. So, to unpack this story a little bit, she had reached out to my buddy before and asked if I was certified. And I'm not a certified classically trained masseuse. I've been doing massage for over 10 years. Never hurt anyone. No one's ever complained. Tons of people who are happy. And yeah, so I think this was part of it. Who knows? I haven't talked to her, since then so much, so to speak. So for me, I didn't want to say that I did anything wrong. And I know that this is like a blind spot. This is a weakness. And I didn't want to just say like, oh, all I did was something good, because that's not true. And that's obviously a blind spot. And so I did some things right and I did some things wrong. And some things that I had realized that I did wrong was I didn't ask enough questions in the beginning. Like, why do you want to get a massage? What's your reason for it? What do you hope to gain out of it? Like, what are you looking for? And also sharing with her, hey, I'm not classically trained. I'm not a masseuse. The massage that I do looks like this. This is the type of work that I do. And, that was a big mistake on my behalf. Again, this was the first time that someone was, one of the first times someone who had reached out to have a massage and pay for it recently. So, yeah, what else? There's also been a lot of fear about what to do next and how do I move forward from here. Like, I have the next week planned out. Like, I know on Wednesday I leave here, I go to Munich. Then my next thing is I need to get to Berlin. I'm sure I could get to Berlin because Thursday I start a tantric energetics retreat outside of Berlin. And I think it's called The Essence of Life or Living or something like this. I'm really excited for it. And so roughly I have the next week. I'll be in Berlin planned out. After that, there's this 2-week period where I don't know where I'm going. I booked a flight from London to New York on the 4th of June because I'm a volunteer at grounding camp in New York and I need to be there on the 5th or the 6th. I think the 6th. Yeah. So after that, I have no idea where I'm going. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm a fucking retired accountant, so I could do the math, and I know that resources aren't going to last so long. And so there is part of me that when I've looked into the future, like outside of grounding camp in June, for the longest time, for the last bit, I would just see blackness when I envisioned what was going to happen after this moment. And something I've been working on within me is to see color, to see a rainbow, to just envision something beautiful, even if it's just abstract like colors, because it gives my mind, my mental state, something more to envision, to look forward to besides just blackness. And so, yeah, when I look to my future, this is what I see. And what's showing up for me as I say this is bring in some emotion into it. Like something beautiful, like something good, like something that I'll enjoy doing. So this is also something that I'm adding into it. And yeah, so here I am, like month 5, in a place where I never imagined I'd be before. I had no idea I'd be here. I just kept on hearing Israel come up, and it started about a month ago. I met a guy from Israel. Then my roommate in snow sports for my Londas was fucking from Israel, and I met a couple other guys from Israel, and I was like, cool, could I come to Israel? And yeah, it's been great. Like living in Israel, being here. I mean, look at this backyard. It's so beautiful here. So, yeah, I'm stoked to be here. Like, I never imagined I'd be in Israel before, and I love it. There's a bunch of great things happening in my life, and I know that it's really important for me to focus on the constructive things and the good things. Yet, I also know that, based on a conversation that I had with Jator today, thank you, brother, that when insecurities, when fears come up, when these like low vibrational things or these negative emotions come up, that they're here to support me. And so when these emotions are coming up, I'm not brushing them off. I'm bringing them closer and saying, like, what do you have to offer me? So, fuck, it's fucking May. I have no idea where the fuck I'll be in June. And I'm not doing this for you, the viewer, anymore. I'm doing this for myself because I don't need your validation. I don't need your approval. I don't need your acceptance. I'm recording this story for myself. I'm doing this for me so I could look back at this whenever I want, or fuck looking back at it. Like, just doing it right now for myself because this is what I need. This is my therapy. This is my work. This is what I do. This is my process. And I'll wrap this by sharing one of the most influential statements that I've heard so far in the last month. During a moment of heightened fear and worry and stress over money, I asked my mentor, Mazen, how do we release fear? Or how do we release fear? And he said, I want you to replace the word fear with love and ask me the same question. And it took me a good moment to respond. Because then the question was, how do we release love from our life? And so my conclusion for myself is, we need the fear as much as we need the love. With that, I love you. I do appreciate you tuning in. I do appreciate you watching and checking this out. If you have any questions, comments, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you. That's why I'm here. Less that, have a beautiful fucking day. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're enjoying it. So, talk to you soon.